the disappearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All day long. And so let us say together the pranam mantra for Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchit Anandanamine Gora Shakti Sarupaya Rupanugavarayate. Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances unto Satchidananda Bhaktivinod, who is transcendental energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is a strict follower of the Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa. How nice on his disappearance day that we're covering chapter 1 of one of his 100 books, Harinam Chintamani. You familiar with the book, Harinam?
I haven't read it, but yeah.
Little familiar. Okay. The first class was just a biography about the life of Haridas Thakur, and Haridas Thakur is pictured on the left, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pictured on the right, and it's a discussion between the two. The whole text reminds me very much of the conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy. In Chaitanya Charitamrita we find Lord Chaitanya was asking questions, Ramananda Roy was asked to give answers, and that's the same format here. Lord Chaitanya is asking Haridas Thakur many questions, and Haridas Thakur is saying very much like what Ramananda Roy said, I'm a fool, I'm a puppet, you can make me speak, whatever you want. I don't have the qualification to speak before you and speak on these subject matters, but because you're ordering me, I'll speak something, and you're the puppeteer and I'm the puppet. Kind of the instrument of your speaking. Lord Chaitanya likes to glorify his devotees in that way. We heard a nice, round, full picture of Haridas Thakur's life. He was older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by something like 38 years. And this conversation, well, whether this conversation actually took place or is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's understanding of the kind of this conversation these two would have, it really doesn't matter so much. We don't have proof one way or the other. But it's the wonderful exchange between the most munificent of all forms of the Lord, Lord Chaitanya, and the Acharya Haridas about the benefits of chanting. The title, Harinam Chintamani, is taken from a verse from Padma Purana, a well-known verse by the followers of Lord Chaitanya. In the first line of the verse, Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho, etc. So the Chintamani, the name or the chanting of the name Sri Harinam acts like a touchstone. It spiritualizes whatever it comes in touch with. And the way this presentation, I didn't create this presentation, somebody else did some years ago to cover Harinam Chintamani from beginning to end. So the way the first chapter is set up is it literally takes the verses and goes through each of the verses for the whole chapter. And to give you a heads up, the structure of the chapter goes like this. There's some introductory praise of Lord Chaitanya and his associates. Next is Lord Chaitanya asking a question, how the souls in this age of Kali can be delivered. And the next is Haridas Thakur saying, I'm not qualified to speak anything, but as you're instructing me, I'll have to speak something. And then the next section is Krishna tattva. Krishna tattva means truths about Krishna. And the structure of creation, material, spiritual, living entities are the spiritual, they're entangled in the material, how to get out. And then he introduces the chanting of the holy name. That's this chapter. And let's begin. The top, there's a painting, part of a painting of the Panchatattva. Gadai Goranga Jaya Janava Jivana Sita Dvaita Jaya Shivasadi Bhakta Gana. Not the Panchatattva mantra, but it's similar. Glory to Lord Chaitanya, to Lord Gadadhar. That's Gadai, is Gadadhar. And to Lord Nityananda. The life of Janava Devi. Glory to Advaita, the husband of Sita. Glory to Srivas and all the devotees of the Lord. So it's just a different Panchatattva mantra, his own style. That's the invocation mantra. Then, on the shore of the saltwater ocean in Nilachala, in a beautiful temple, the Supreme Personality of Godhead descended to this world and assumed the form of a wooden deity to deliver the conditioned souls. He gives both happiness and liberation. There's a photograph of the temple, and kind of superimposed on the temple is Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra deity. So Nilachala is the name of the hill. Achala is the hill. The Nila is a black hill. It's a hill where the Jagannath temple is resting upon. Nilachala is the name of that hill. And Lord Jagannath descended in the Jagannath temple in Nilachala. And the deity gives both happiness and liberation. Next, here's the Bengali. I'll just stay with the translation. In this holy abode, Lord Chaitanya stayed in Kashi Mishra's home to bless the human race and to teach the heart of the true religion meant for the Kali-yuga. In the background, by his raised right hand, you see the dome of the Jagannath temple. There by the seashore at Puri, because that's where Jagannath Puri is, it's by the sea. And Lord Chaitanya made his residence at the home of Kashi Mishra, and he came into this world to teach the Sankirtan process. So that's just 3 verses of setting the scene. Here comes the question. One day, after bathing in the sea, Lord Chaitanya met Haridas under a Siddha Bakula tree. Happy at heart, he earnestly asked, how may the conditioned souls be easily delivered? So this is a diorama, it's a 3-dimensional sculpture. And Haridas is there with his hands folded, Lord Chaitanya with his right hand over his heart, inquiring from Haridas about delivering Kali-yuga folks. The Siddha Bakul, we made reference to this the other day. It's a tree that grew by like mystic power. Haridas was out in the hot sun because he wouldn't stay in a regular residence near the temple. He wouldn't even enter the temple. So Lord Chaitanya came on a daily basis and brought Jagannath Prasad. And when he saw that Haridas was baking in the hot sun, he put a stick in the ground, and all of a sudden the stick, poof, it became a tree. That's called Siddha, like mystical. Siddha means like a mystic power. Siddha Bakul. It became suddenly a fully manifest, matured tree with lots of leaves and shading Haridas. So he wouldn't be baking in the sun. So thereafter it was known as Siddha Bakul. So they sat together under the Siddha Bakul tree and started inquiring. So the question is, how may the conditioned souls be easily delivered? Now, at the bottom, you'll see Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who wrote the book, made a footnote to his own book, kind of like a commentary. From Ramananda's mouth came the description of the rasas. Over there on the left, that's the first meeting of Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy was a governor of Chennai, then Madras. He was a government officer, but a very, very, very advanced devotee. So similarly, Lord Chaitanya was asking questions about the goal of life, and Ramananda Roy was answering. So Bhaktivinoda's comment is, Lord Chaitanya heard from Ramananda about rasa. From Sarvabhauma's mouth came the description of liberation. You heard Vedanta Sutra explained by him. From Rupa Goswami, that's in the middle picture, came analysis of the different rasas. From Sri Haridas's mouth came the glories of the holy name. That's over on the right side. Lord Chaitanya with his legs crossed over there, and Haridas with his hands folded. So now Haridas is going to reply. Weeping and weeping, and the hairs of his body erect, and humbly grasping the Lord's feet, saintly Haridas said, Master, your pastimes are very deep. I am very poor. I have no wealth of knowledge. Your feet are my only wealth, O Master. What good result will you gain by suddenly asking this question of such an unfit person? Now, so it's the first response is a response of humility. And so there's a little sign. Loving obedience to God begins with humility. So that's the beginning point. Same as in Bhagavad Gita chapter 13. Amanitvam, humility. Here's another popular saying. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. So, Haridas goes on, glorifying Lord Chaitanya. You are the Supreme Lord Krishna. To deliver the conditioned souls, you have descended to Navadvip. Please be merciful. Please be kind. Oh, Lord Gora, please protect me. Please make my heart blossom with happiness. Your names have no end. Your transcendental qualities have no end. Your form is an ocean of bliss. Your pastimes have no end. Please be merciful and allow this sinner to relish the sweetness in them. So it's an appeal along with his humility and recognizing who Lord Chaitanya really is. You are the spiritual sun. I'm a single ray of your sunlight. You are the master. I'm your eternal servant. The nectar of your feet is my wealth of pleasure. My desires rest on the nectar of your holy names. Now, these are just direct translations of the verse. We're up to text 10. Text 11. O Master, I'm fallen. How will I know what to say? Still, I must obey your command. The words you place in my mouth, I will happily speak. I will not try to judge their virtues or faults. Very similar to what Ramananda Roy said. In other words, the format is quite similar. So now he's going to, after those expressions of humility and carrying forward with the service because he's ordered to do so, he's going to start with truths about Krishna, Krishna tattva. Text 12. Krishna tattva ekamatra ichamaya Krishna. Lord Krishna is the one supreme personality of Godhead. There is no other. His every desire is always fulfilled. He is eternal. He is the master of all potencies. He is greater than the greatest. Now the paintings or the images here, on the upper left, that's Lord Brahma offering prayers to Krishna. After what you see on the right side, Krishna showed, because Brahma wanted to know the limit of Krishna's potencies, and the answer is there's no limit. Krishna manifested himself as cowherd boys and calves, and for each one forms of Vishnu or Narayan. And all the forms of Vishnu or Narayan were surrounded by all the potencies, and there's too many to count, and there all those potencies times however many forms there were. All offering prayers and praises with a loud noise. So, Krishna tattva eka matra ichamaya Krishna. He's the greatest of the great, greater than the greatest. Here's Bhaktivinoda's footnote. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is supremely independent. His desires are always fulfilled. He possesses inconceivable potencies. He is supremely conscious. His desires are always fulfilled. That was already stated. He possesses potencies. Nothing is independent of him. His potencies are his glories and powers. His powers and glories are limitless. Lord Krishna is the one non-dual supreme truth. The impersonalists see Krishna as the undivided, quality-less Brahman. The truth is that the Brahman is the effulgence of Lord Krishna's body. The followers of Ashtanga Yoga see Krishna as the all-pervading, subtle super soul, present everywhere, in the universes and in the hearts of all. In truth, Lord Krishna does manifest himself in an Angsa avatar as the super soul. Therefore, Brahman and Paramatma are both partial manifestations of Lord Krishna. Therefore, Krishna has all desires and all powers. He is fully conscious of everything. He is the independent supreme person. Again, his desires are always fulfilled. That's 3 times. The same footnote. A comment about what he's just written. His qualities are unlimited, especially his quality of Bhakta Vatsala. Bhakta Vatsala means he's very affectionate to his devotee. He's equal to everyone, and he's especially affectionate to his devotee because the devotee is affectionate to him. He reciprocates with their affection, so he feels affection for them. Next, in all of his spiritual powers and glories, they're not material. Even though they may be manifested within the material world, they are not themselves material. Beautiful deities. Lord Krishna's powers and glories are Lord Krishna himself, or Vishnu Tattva. Again and again, the Vedas use the word Vishnu Pada, or Lord Vishnu himself, or Lord Vishnu's feet, to describe these powers and glories. He's just singing the praises of the truths about Krishna. This is our access to Krishna is through his devotees, the Vaishnavas, and therefore they have some powers too. Lord Krishna's spiritual powers and glories are situated in pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. They are Lord Krishna himself. This is summarizing several verses. And commentary is, Lord Krishna, or Vishnu Tattva, is not a transformation of matter. He is situated in pure goodness. He's beyond matter. An important understanding of Krishna tattva. He's not made of matter. He's not influenced by matter. He's beyond matter. Don't think of him as material or his forms or his qualities or anything. His flute, that which is in connection with him is all spiritual, beyond matter. Lord Krishna manifests his form as Govinda, Vaikuntanath, Karana Dakshayi Vishnu, Garbo Dakshayi Vishnu, and Shiro Dakshayi Vishnu. He also manifests many other Angsa avatars or incarnations, which are all himself, or Vishnu Tattva, and which are all situated in pure goodness. Some of these points are being repeated, but I think it's on purpose. So it's very clear. Krishna and his expansions, like the Vishnu forms or the other avatar forms of the Lord, they're all in the same category, Vishnu Tattva category, and they're all in pure goodness. They're not in the slightest touched by anything material. Okay. Appearing in Goloka, Vaikuntha, the Karana Sagara of the causal ocean, or the material world. The Lord is known as Vishnu. When he enters the material world, Lord Krishna remains the controller of matter. The name Vishnu still refers to him. He is still all-powerful. He is still the master of all the demigods. He is still the controller of Maya. Maya is still his property. He is still situated in pure goodness. An important teaching that's spoken many, many times in the scriptures, but when Krishna appears in the world, he's not contaminated. He's not even touched by matter because he controls matter. Matter doesn't control him. And his control is not by touching it. It's by his willing potency. It moves. We just read a nice example. Like a magnet moves iron filings. Question. Do you have to touch a magnet to iron filings to move the iron filings? You just bring the magnet near the iron filings and they move. Similarly, Krishna never touches matter, but matter moves because of the influence, the spiritual influence of Krishna. Or it doesn't move. Only by Krishna's influence. But he's not touched by it. Next verse. Brahma, Shiva, and all the demigods are situated in mixed goodness. There we see in the painting on the left, the demigods are at the shore of the Milk Ocean. You see the waves. And out there is an island where Anantashesh is holding Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, or Shirodakshayi Vishnu, excuse me. And so these forms of Vishnu, and over on the right is the form of Lord Shiva, and behind him Brahma and other demigods, they're in mixed goodness. But Krishna is in unmixed goodness. Shuddha. Next. O Lord, your Vishnu Tattva forms, your Vishnu Dhamma, or abodes, and your transcendental pastimes are all manifested by your spiritual powers and glories. And it gets a little more technical. Chit Vaibhav. In short, they're all spiritual, and there's varieties of categories of that which is spiritual, and it's by his potency, his dham, and his pastimes, and all of his associates, everything becomes manifest. Now he's going to move to the lower potency, Maya Tattva. O Lord, on the farther bank of the Viraja river, you see in the painting, there's the universe down at the bottom. There's that which separates the spiritual realm and the material realm, the Viraja river. There's the Brahmajyoti, and then there's the spiritual sky. So that's the way he's describing it. He's going down. There's the spiritual sky. And in the spiritual sky, there's planets. But the sky itself is Brahmajyoti. That's that light that you see. And on the other side of this Brahmajyoti, there's this river Viraja that divides the spiritual and material realms. And on this side of that river is the material creation. That's where Maya Shakti is, or Maya Tattva is. So let's go the other direction. There, at the very, very bottom, there's a universe. And then there's so many other universes in that vastness of the material energy. And they all are resting in the river Viraja, or the causal ocean. On the other side of the river or the ocean, the other shore, that's the Brahmajyoti. And within that Brahmajyoti, there's vast, vast spiritual planets. But everything that's in that spiritual realm, there's not at all any contact with matter or modes of nature. Zero contact. So now, on the farther bank of the Viraja river is your material power. This is going down from the spiritual realm, the Brahmajyoti, then there's the river Viraja, and then there's the other side of the river Viraja. That's where Krishna's material power and glory, consisting of the 14 worlds. 14 worlds means within each universe there's planetary systems totaling 14. 7 lower, 7 upper. 7 plus 7 is usually 14. So that's the 14 worlds made of the material energy. So he's now going to describe the material energy. Here's a picture of one universe, and there's many, many. So at the bottom, that's the Garbhodak ocean. That's the water part that's in half of the universe. And then above that water part, there's the 14 planets. 7 lower, 7 upper, with names attached to them. In this realm, from our earthly realm, Bhur Loka, above. Bhuvar Loka, above that. Svarga, that's heaven. You familiar with these terms? Svarga? Well, you've heard of heaven.
Yes, I've heard.
Okay, so it's in the Vedas also. It's called Svarga. That's the heavenly realm where demigods are, and people in the mode of goodness go there, and they stay there for some time and enjoy heavenly pleasures. And when their piety account becomes reduced, they come back again
To the material planet?
to the Earth planet, because the heavenly planets are also material, temporary. For pious people, that's what heaven is. It's a place for pious people. Earth realm is a place for passionate people, and the lower realms is for the people influenced by mode of ignorance. Ignorance, passion, that's where we are, Boston, and above. Svarga, and then there's above Svarga. Here are those names. Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. That's 4. So 3 plus 4, generally that's 7. This planet, above it is called Bhuvar, then Svarga is heaven. There's 4 more. There's details of what those planets are, but this is not a cosmology discussion. He's just giving a picture. There's 7 upper. Below those 7 upper are 7 lower worlds, which begin with Atala Loka and Sutala Loka, plus 5 more. Those are the lower 7 planets. Planetary systems, not just planets. O Master, all these worlds, all 14, please hear of your material powers and glories. Your spiritual powers and glories are all perfect and complete. Your material powers and glories are shadows of your spiritual powers and glories. Right? Shadow? Reflection? Yes?
Darkness.
You with me? Chapter 15, Bhagavad Gita, the tree that has its branches going down and the roots going up. It's the reflection at a lake. Normally a tree has the branches growing up and the roots growing down, but in the reflection, it's the opposite.
It's just the tree.
Yeah, the reflection of a tree in a lake. You're looking at a lake or pond or something. On the other side, there's a tree. And the tree that you see on the opposite side, it's the roots are down and the branches are up. But in the reflection, it's the other way around. The branches are going down. The roots are going up. In the reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 15, Bhagavad Gita. So this realm is a reflection of the spiritual realm. You've heard the phrase, as above, so below. So this is just a reflection of the above. So the material powers are reflections or shadows of the spiritual powers. As above, so below. The variegatedness we find here exists because there's variegatedness there. In a reflection, if you see there's an apple in that upside down tree, it's there because there's an apple in the tree. You won't see the apple in the reflection if there's not an apple in the tree, etc. The birds in the tree and whatever. It exists because there's a real thing in the spiritual realm. And here this is just a reflection or a shadow of the spiritual powers and glories of the spiritual realm. Next. These words, I think I should say worlds, are the power and glory of Maya. They're called Devidam. That's this place, the reflection place. They are made of 5 gross material elements and the subtle material elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego. You're familiar with those? Yes? 7? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's 5. Mind, intelligence, false ego. 3 more. That makes 8. So there's coverings. So here's Bhaktivinoda's footnote. The earthly planets, that's where we are. That's in this middle region. Not in the upper region, not in the lower region. It's the middle region where we are. Huh? Yeah, the passion place, right. In the middle region. So the earthly planets are made of the 5 material elements. You know that those are. The gross material bodies of the conditioned souls are also made of the 5 material elements. These are all made of gross matter. Then there's subtle matter. The conditioned soul's mind, intelligence, and false ego are his subtle material body. This is also made of matter. The individual soul, which is a spiritual spark, is by nature situated in pure goodness. In his original form, he has a mind, intelligence, and ego that are made of pure goodness. These are spiritual. These are different from the subtle material body. It's just a reflection, as above, so below. In our spiritual position, we have spiritual form, and we have spiritual mind, intelligence, and spiritual ego, not false ego, but a sense of who we are. And the chanting of the holy name carries us to that spiritual realm. That's what Haridas Thakur has faith in, has experience in, and it's what he's been asked to describe, how to quickly transfer souls to that region. So it went to the spiritual, went to the material, now here's the in-between, the marginal, or the jiva. Okay? There's Krishna, right in the center. The individual spirit souls are tiny fragments of your spiritual potency. Tiny, 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 really tiny. Fragments. because they are spiritual in nature, the individual souls possess free will, just like Krishna has unlimited free will. We're tiny samples, we have tiny free will, because they're spiritual in nature. There is no end to the number of individual souls. They are motivated by the desire to find pleasure. So either spiritual or material. There's a nice painting on the upper left. That little skinny fellow saying no to Krishna is entering the material realm where it's the reflection, and leaving Krishna behind. But looking for pleasure, but looking for pleasure apart from Krishna, that's this place. That's the reflection place. And looking for pleasure in relation to serving and pleasing and loving Krishna, as all those people on the left side of the painting are doing, that's spiritual pleasure. It's natural to desire pleasure, but there's spiritual and material. There's the real, and there's the reflection of the real. So on the painting on the right, this is someone who's practicing sadhana bhakti, making offerings to the deity form of Krishna. And there's different kinds of souls. There's liberated souls, mukta jivas, the souls who seek pleasure by associating with Krishna are liberated souls. They're Krishna's companions. The imprisoned soul, that's that skinny guy on the right over there, or souls who have turned their faces away from Krishna. A soul who thinks he will be happy independently will yearn to stay by the side of Maya, or material illusion, turning their faces away from eternal Lord Krishna. These souls enter the realm of Devidam, where they attain material bodies fashioned by Maya. Next, they fall into the wheel of pious deeds and the opposite, sins. Residing in gross and subtle material bodies, they continually wander in that world. Sometimes they rise to heaven, Swarga, and other times they fall into hell. They wander and wander in 16,000 species of life. I don't know where that 16,000 species of life is, but that's the translation. Because 8,400,000, but anyway, 16,000. Even so, Lord Krishna gives his mercy. Haridas says, "You are the Supreme Lord, and the individual souls are your potencies. You always think of your servants' welfare. You kindly bestow whatever happiness your servants seek." Unfortunately, the happiness they seek is sometimes in ignorance, and it's not really happiness at all. Sometimes it's passion, and it burns like fire. And sometimes it's in goodness, and it resembles happiness, but it's not full happiness. And sometimes they desire unalloyed happiness, that is, loving relationship with the Supreme. But Krishna reciprocates. In whatever condition the individual soul may find himself, the Supreme Lord is always his friend and always fulfills his desires. The relationship between the Supreme Lord and the individual soul is eternal. The painting on the left there is illustrating that's one super soul who is variously situated in all these other different forms of life. There's dogs, and there's crane, and there's some animals, and there's some people, and all kinds of things. And super soul is situated equally in each, and according to the coverings, there's desires, and according to the desires, there's reciprocation. Now the way, the means, because the question, remember, is how the souls that are captured in this situation can be released from being imprisoned. So Haridas is now going to go to disciplic succession. There on the upper right, that's Radha Krishna. There's a line of disciplic succession connecting them to us through disciplic succession. So there's this descending mercy from Krishna's divine grace to his representative, the divine grace. And one can get that Krishna connection restored. Here's the verse I made reference to. You see across the top. Harinama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Vigraha means form. A form of Chaitanya Rasa, eternal, substantial bliss. Purna Shuddho, the rest is down there. So the photograph, it looks like some kind of a corridor into a cave or something like that, with some little bit of sunlight here and there. And way in the back, that's the mandala, that's the holy name with Krishna at the center. So the holy name penetrates through many layers of ignorance and gives eternal happiness to the soul. Souls are covered, conditioned souls are covered. And how to get through that covering? That's the starting question of Lord Chaitanya. How to get through to people and let them no longer have to struggle in ignorance and passion searches for happiness. Even so, Lord Krishna gives his mercy to them. Our Lord is most munificent, Haridas says. Lord Krishna gives his mercy to them. Our Lord is most munificent. Next, we're nearing the end of this first chapter. There's rituals, as you see on the left side. Someone's worshipping Ganesh, and Lakshmi is giving money because they're worshipping Ganesh, because that's what they want. They want material happiness. By your mercy, the souls who desire temporary material happiness easily attain it through these rituals. You created dharma, yajna, yoga, homa, and vratas, or vows, which are the auspicious activities, or shubha karma. Shubha means auspicious. Shubha? No? Shubha? Shubha means auspicious. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Shubha, ashubha, palayar eva, mokshase karma. But Krishna is saying, Arjun, you shouldn't try for shubha or ashubha. Really? What do you try for? That was just transcendental. So there are some people, they just want shubha. They want money. You know, that's the passion place. So there are ways to get those passions fulfilled. That's shubha karma, or auspicious activities that bring material happiness. These auspicious activities are material. They are not spiritual. But they're within the Vedas. Why are they within the Vedas? Because people want material. For those who want material, there's a means to achieve it. For those who want transcendental, that's much better, and that's also provided. In other words, the Vedas are sometimes compared to a desire tree. You've heard of desire tree? So a regular tree, depending upon the season, it can bear fruit of one kind in season. So I don't know what's in season right now, but you know, in a while up here it's probably apples and peaches and maybe pears up here in New England. Apples for sure. But you know, it's only during a certain season and of one kind. That's, you know, the trees that we have here. And the Vedas is compared to a tree that can provide unlimited varieties of any kind of fruit at any time. So people that want material, here's how you can get your material. It's in the Vedas. It's called Shubha Karma, or auspicious Shubha Karma. People do pious things because they know they're going to get some good stuff. They get pious results. And they're going to prosper because of the pious results. It's not a new idea. It's all over the world. It's not just this religion versus that religion. All religions have such activities, shubha or auspicious activities, whatever that may be. Offer prayers 3 times a day or 7 times a day, or you do something and you do something. And the fruit of that something is you're building some piety results, and the piety results bring prosperity. That's a major part of religion, because people want to be happy. So the religion, God-given religion, tells people here's how you can be happy, by following codes within your scriptures. And then you prosper. And then after this life you go to heaven. You prosper in this life and you go to heaven after this life. Common. Not just one theology or another. It's very common principle. But the emphasis here that Haridas is making, those are spiritual benefits. The activity is spiritual activity. Material activity. The benefit is material benefit. It doesn't touch spiritual. So recommended is go for the spiritual. And when you achieve the spiritual, the material follows. Material, supposing there's some sunlight, or not, so the light in the room, and supposing that the light in the room is casting a shadow with my hand onto the floor, onto the wall. When I move my hand, the shadow moves. And so, from spiritual well-being, material well-being follows like a shadow. Follows the object, it casts the shadow. So when spiritual well-being is secured, material well-being is secured. As a shadow follows the object that casts the shadow. So the advocacy that's happening here and in Bhagavad Gita, go for spiritual well-being. Well, wait a minute, I have necessities. No problem. The necessities are the shadow stuff. It'll follow spiritual well-being. Just go for spiritual well-being. Well, I don't know. Go for spiritual well-being. I mean, if you want, there's activities, there's Shubha Karma in the Vedas, and you just stay on the material platform, on the shadow platform. But it's not recommended. That's very clearly what Bhagavad Gita's teaching is. So, let's go to the next. By performing them, that's this Shubha Karma, or auspicious activity, one attains material benefits. By their power, one attains material pleasures and residence in the higher material worlds. Enjoying the results of these material actions, one does not attain spiritual peace. That's what your t-shirt says too. The struggle to attain material goals is a great mistake. By performing these auspicious material activities, one attains only temporary material pleasures. That's what's up in the sky there. There's demigods, and they're dispensing things. The lady on the right, that's goddess Lakshmi, she's dispensing wealth. Someone else is dispensing sunlight. Someone else is dispensing rain. Someone else is dispensing moonlight. And all these things are needed. Even vegetation requires moonlight, not just sunlight and rain. So anyway, the demigods supply necessities. Fantastic. We need necessities are necessary. They're necessities. But it stays on the platform of temporary material if one doesn't go to the Vishnu or the transcendental form. Here's a little cartoon. Interesting. I don't normally pray, but I'm desperate for 5,000 pounds. I guess a European joke, I guess, or British joke. God bless our home equity line of credit. Anyway, Hare Krishna. The way to rise above that condition, look at that moving around up at the top. What happened? I liked what happened. Let's see. Interesting. Okay. If by association with devotees he understands I'm a pure spirit soul, Lord Krishna's servant, then the soul can cross beyond the world of Maya. Up top there, that's Prabhupada at Tompkins Square Park. Down at the bottom, that's Vaisheshika Prabhu in his book bag, distributing Bhagavad Gitas and other literature. So it's by association with devotees that one can get relief from that, material only benefit and come to the spiritual benefit side. There's the Bengali, and this is the translation of what Haridas Thakur is saying. For the sake, now this is a summary of 5 verses. For the sake of these people, merciful Lord Krishna gives the philosophy of Brahman. That's the spiritual effulgence that you see radiating from Krishna. That's the Brahman. In the portion of the Vedas called the Jnana Kanda, the knowledge section, they attain a stunted kind of liberation. Oh Lord, Brahman is the effulgence of your body. It shines on the farther bank of the Viraja river. The impersonalists merge into it. The demons killed by Krishna also cross to the farther bank of Maya and merge into Brahman. Up top on the right, that's the Keshi demon, the horse demon. In the bottom right, that's the Kali-yuga serpent. And I'm not sure who that fellow is in the lower left, but Krishna is letting him have it, whoever it is. The souls who have turned their faces from Lord Krishna. That's not dollars, that's pounds, but it's the same thing. The karmis, or materialists, on the left, and the gyanis, or impersonalists, on the right, have both turned their faces away from Lord Krishna. They never taste the pleasures of service to Lord Krishna. So then comes a question, if both of them, karma and jnana, are not pious, what are the best pious deeds? He's drilling down to that initial question, how to deliver people. Pious deeds can be material, but they can also be spiritual. Pious deeds performed by one eager for devotional service. That's spiritual. Now, on the lower left, that's a Janmashtami volunteer. Probably at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, because they get like a zillion people that come to the Bhaktivedanta Manor at Janmashtami. So they have just congregation people do some volunteer service to help people get around during Janmashtami. The center picture is somebody making deity jewelry, it looks like. And similar on the upper right, the lady is making some kind of garment or backdrop or something for the deities. Sewing for the deities. That's the ladies in the back with their sewing machines, making deity outfits. Devotional activities performed by one eager for devotional service are the best of pious deeds. Their fruit is that the soul attains association with devotees. That's not material. It stays on the spiritual platform. Bhaktivinoda's comment, pious deeds are of 3 kinds. It's getting a little complicated. Karma, Gyan, and Bhakti. Karma we know. Gyan means knowledge. So people do, it's pious to study the scriptures and try to understand what's spiritual, and that's a pious activity. And then devotional service, we still study scriptures, but we want to please Krishna. The first two bring the fruits of work and the attainments of impersonal liberation as their results. The last kind of pious deed brings faith and pure devotional service. To the unknowing, the activities of pure devotional service seem to be ordinary pious deeds. To the unknowing means people that don't know what is this devotional service thing anyways. Looks like they're doing the same stuff we do. I mean, we got in a car and had to go back because we forgot the amplifier and turned around and found we had a shortcut to get here. And so we're doing things that ordinary people do. Park the car so it doesn't disturb the neighbors, and we're doing things that everybody else does. But if it's done for the pleasure of Krishna, pursuing the pleasure of Krishna, not because it makes me comfortable, then that's devotional work or devotional pious deeds. It's transcendental. And it's on another platform altogether. Next, we're almost done. A faithful person who associates with Lord Krishna's devotees. You recognize Prabhupada there on the right side in the rocking chair. This is at the Brooklyn Temple. Down there in the center, with glasses on, that's me.
It's you?
That's me. Sitting at Prabhupada's feet this is the Brooklyn Temple. Right next to me, to our left or to my right, that's Radha Ballabha. He became the production manager for the BBT. And to my left or to our right, that's Gaur Hari, Prabhupada disciple who joined in California. And
The one with the sweater?
they had the black sweater. And with his back to us, with the long sika, that's the temple president, Gopijana Ballabha. To his right, or with hair, white dhoti, that's the GBC, Bali Mardan, and so forth. So this is Prabhupada enjoying. I think what it was there was a drama, and they were performing a drama, and Prabhupada was appreciating the drama.
He looks so happy.
Yeah, he's enjoying his disciples' service. So this is association with such a person or with such devotees. That's the fruit, is we associate with devotees. And in the company of devotees, we do devotional service. So we're receiving that association, and then we give that association. It's like what we're doing right now at this very moment. And here on the next slide, that's Narada Muni, and he's doing the same thing. He received and he's giving to a whole lot of young brahmacharis. He's got a nice bhakti program. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's sons of...
There's so many, there's...
You look around. You look all around the river. Keep following the heads. Doesn't have a PA system either. He didn't have to go back to his ashram and get it. He just had a loud...
They can hear him?
I don't know. Maybe he had private sessions. I don't know how. You can only give what you allow yourself to receive. You can only receive what you're willing to give. Nice little saying. So continuing, this is Harinama Chintamani. 8 verses summarized in this image right here. Out of mercy to these 2 other groups, karmis, the workers, fruitive workers, and the gyanis, the cultivators of knowledge, the Lord creates the path of indirect devotional service. Indirect devotional service. On the left, that's devotional service mixed with karma. That's the varnashram system. Devotional service mixed with karma. Over on the right, that guy with that cerebral rays going out of his head, that's the path of Gyan. Mixed bhakti mixed with Gyan. But what Krishna wants, that the ripened fruit of that special desire tree is devotional service. That's the ripened fruit, and the others are not yet ripe. Mixed, or even without bhakti, just work to get some material elevation or knowledge to get liberation. But when you mix bhakti, then it helps. By devotees' mercy, a pious jnani easily attains faith and pure devotional service. Oh Lord, Haridas says, you say, quote, my servant has now fallen into the suffering of Maya. Turning away from me, he now desires petty, unimportant things. I know what is truly good for him. I will make him turn away from sense gratification and impersonal liberation. I will give him devotional service. So little by little, not all at once. In the Kali-yuga, the path of indirect devotional service is difficult. Looks pretty difficult. There's the passion scene on the right, and there's the destruction, the ignorance scene on the left. Okay. We're almost done with the chapter. I keep saying that. In the Satya-yuga is the first and most elevated of the 4 yugas. How many sages diligently practiced the yoga of meditation? O Supreme Lord, you purified them and gave them the treasure of devotional service to you. There's pictures of yogis doing what they do in Satya Yuga, meditation. And the next stage, this is where Lord Ramachandra, you see him on the left, Lord Ramachandra seated with his brother Lakshman and Sita. They're in a hermitage in the forest. In Treta Yuga, many souls became purified by performing yagyas. That's that fire that's right at the center. They're doing a little yagya. In Dwapara Yuga, they walked the path of deity worship. That's the painting on the right. O Lord, you freely gave them devotional service. Now here's a portrait of Lord Chaitanya. It is said, can't verify, that an artist during Lord Chaitanya's time painted this portrait of Lord Chaitanya. Looks nice. O Lord, when Kali-yuga came, the conditioned souls became unfortunate. Seeing this, you made them lose faith in Gyan, Karma, and Yoga. Their lives were short. They suffered many troubles. Their intelligence and strength were reduced. These obstacles devoured the conditioned souls. And then came television. What's happening here? Here we go. There's the eyes to see the TV screen, the tongue to taste nice palatable food, the ears to hear some nice music coming through that window, the nose going over there to hear some smell coming through the other window, and the sense of touch going over there to, you can figure it out what's going on over there.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
In this world.
So these other systems don't have the power to deliver souls from those distractions. Rather, in Kali-yuga, the path of indirect devotional service, or devotional service mixed with karma and gyan, becomes a difficult path, a path overgrown with thorns. Notice the thorns. And over on the right is somebody in kind of like a desert area, and he doesn't look too happy either. And I don't know what that picture is in lower left. Can you see what that picture is in lower left?
It's like an animal stuck in the thorn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like a rabbit or something stuck in a thorn bush. Not nice. So what's the solution? By following this path, the soul finds many obstacles in his life. Now, the punchline. The holy name is the direct path. The holy name is the direct path. At any age, at any stage, in any condition, for anybody, any gender, anything, any culture, any language. It's the same language, the Hare Krishna mantra. O Supreme Lord, thinking how to benefit the conditioned souls in Kali-yuga, you descended in this world with the holy name. You taught that Nam Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name, is the Yuga Dharma, or the religion of the age. By following this direct path of chanting the holy name, the conditioned souls attain a great treasure of love for Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting or remembering the holy name, the conditioned soul will be delivered. That was the question at the beginning of the chapter. The goal and the way to attain the goal, they're not different. They're both the holy name. In chanting the holy name, the goal and the way to attain it are not different. In this path, there are no obstacles in the way to attain the goal. O Lord, by your mercy, the conditioned souls easily attain the goal. On the left, that's Haridas when he's very, 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 very old. Lord Chaitanya is giving his merciful lotus feet for Haridas to touch. I am fallen. I am plunged in an ocean of material sense objects. O Lord, I am such a fool that I did not worship your holy name. Sighing and tears streaming from his eyes, Brahma Haridas fell before Lord Chaitanya's feet. Then this benediction. This is the last page. May this book, Harinam Chintamani, become the very life of the souls whose only joy is devotional service to Lord Krishna. I think it's supposed to say, and his devotees. So that's chapter 1. Now, I had to go fast because it's a long chapter. And there's a lot in it. But I had to go fast because it's a long chapter. Now, what we've been doing, because it's late, we've been inviting the people in the room to say whatever they'd like to say, ask whatever questions. Radha is usually the first one with her hand up. And then after that, we'll go online and see if there's some people who are viewing this. I've gotten some letters from devotees from remote places that are really appreciating that this topic is being covered. Harinam Chintamani is an important subject. A little book. Do we have
a question?
Okay, go ahead. We're gonna have you speak into the microphone for our remote people.
My question is, how can you, just trying to figure out the right words to say, we know the importance, we just finished going over the importance of the holy name and how that is the solution for the conditioned souls.
Right.
But how can a conditioned soul who is so forgetful, so fallen, can be attracted? How can we become attracted to the holy name?
By associating with those who are attracted.
Mm-hmm.
And because we discussed this yesterday evening, one of the guests made a really nice comment. Just begin. And if you just begin, there's some taste, just like saying, supposing you've never eaten a rasgulla. You can look at it. It doesn't look normal. It's different. But when you taste it, it's nice. Had rasgullas before? Gulab jamuns?
No.
Okay. They're like, they're made from milk, and they're prepared this way, that way, the other way. They look different, but you may not know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you take a bite, and it's nice. Now, what Radha was sharing with us yesterday is, well, I try it, I just find it boring.
I agree with her.
Mm.
If I'm being completely honest.
Fine, be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Then, so we're covering the same topic as yesterday, but I was thinking more about it today.
Mm.
There are a number of things that we do because we know it's good for us. And some things we know that's good for us, we don't do. And then it over a period of time, those things that are good for us, we don't do, it easily creates a problem. Then we have to then compensate for the problem that was not doing something that's good for us. Whatever that might be. Let's say exercise or having a balanced diet. Maybe easier to not have a balanced diet because it takes more time and trouble, etc. But then over a period of time, health gets impacted by not having a balanced diet. Then you have to compensate, etc., etc. So I in Ayurveda, you know what Ayurveda is, right? Okay. In Ayurveda, the doctor, what part of the diagnosis is, in addition to pulse, is they ask what symptoms, and then they understand you have a certain kind of imbalance in your body, this and this and this. And these foods are bad for one who has the kind of imbalance you have. So don't eat those foods. But supposing you like those foods, and then eat some of these other ones. Supposing you don't like some of those other ones, you're going to have this imbalance, and you can continue to have problems. Although the tongue says that I don't like this and I like that. So it's helpful to have a prescription that says, leaving aside liking, not liking, this is good for you. The classic example, it's right in Nectar of Instruction, and it's part of Ayurveda. When somebody has a liver disease or jaundice, you know what that is? Mm-hmm. Jaundice, liver disease, one of the internal organs. And the Ayurvedic remedy is rock candy. And when you have a liver disease, I had a liver disease once, and I took rock candy, and it's true, it tastes bitter. But rock candy isn't bitter. Mm-hmm. But when the liver is diseased, it tastes bitter. And by taking the medicine, because it's recommended to take the medicine, you may take some other things too, but then it starts to, the normal taste comes through. That the name, the chanting of the names is actually sweet, but because of our conditioning, our diseased condition, it doesn't taste sweet, or, as she was saying yesterday, it's boring. There's not, one person says like that, persons that have that experience. And there's, the jaundiced condition is one reason, but you can say, here's another way of saying the same thing. In this middle planetary region, it's the mode of passion, and mode of passion is symptomized by desiring the fruits of our activity. And there's nothing fruitive about chanting. Nothing fruitive about it. So it's like, where's the perks? She likes music. And there's perks with music. Yes, music's nice. But, along with the music comes the chanting. But one cannot take full advantage, one may not take full advantage of the chanting, of musical chanting, if there's no, real attraction for the name. So It's, in one sense, it's just medicine. And medicine may not be pleasant tasting, but we take it because it's medicine. It's good for us. Or like a common one that's said to young people sometimes is eat your spinach. Some people, she likes spinach, I know. But some young people don't like spinach. Eat your spinach because it's got iron and it's good for you. You know what? It's not whether you like it or not. It's good for you to eat your spinach. Well, you can eat other things. So there are things. These are just some simple examples. We do things because we know they're good for us. It's wholesome. Supposing someone's not used to being clean, be very clean. And once you get used to being clean, you really, you don't like it being not clean. Or, rising early. Some people, it's really hard to rise early. But you practice it and it becomes something that, you don't want to not rise early. So you need to rest early so you can rise early. So, because those early morning hours, experience tells you, and other things tell you, scripture tells you, that's the best. That's the mode of goodness hour. The day is passion, the night is ignorance, and the early morning is goodness. And, liking the mode of goodness is good. Supposing one is like, I'd like to sleep. That's the mode of ignorance. So, gradually leverage from that mode of ignorance to the mode of goodness. We do things because they're good for us. Some things we do not because my mind says yummy, but because I know it's good for me. So that's a cultivation of the quality of goodness when the lower modes are prevalent. Like a diseased person. Don't eat these foods, it'll aggravate your disease. Yeah, but I like it. You don't like the result of it, it aggravates your disease, so don't eat those foods. Even you like, the tongue says yes. The intelligence should say no. And vice versa. Well, I don't really have a taste. But the benefits are very substantial. It's good for you. Like that. So, you have something further you want to say?
No? I just want to say thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hey Krishna Maharaj, I have a few questions. My first one is that you're talking about humility and how it's really how it's good to be
Humble.
Humble, yes. So, but sometimes people like to be fakely. They're
not really humble. They're just cosmetic humble.
Yeah, to be exalted. Try to be exalted, which isn't humble, but it's not helping you in spiritual life. But it just comes out. So how do you avoid it?
Well, the answer to that is, Prabhupada's answer is, by sincerity, you know what the difference is, and you act with sincerity. The next question is, how do you be sincere? By being sincere. That's Prabhupada's answer. By cultivating. Everyone knows what sincerity is and what duplicity is. So, be sincere. How do you become sincere? By being sincere.
I think
so. You know what it means. And if you, one of the topics we discussed is we don't always know what our blind spots are. Then we didn't use that language, but how do we know that what we're doing is what Krishna wants and is pleasing to Krishna? Because we're tinted or covered to its greater or lesser degree. So we're not going to have a clear idea of what's Krishna's pleasure. So what are we supposed to do when that happens? Remember I said ask your mom and dad. Remember? that question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, from scripture, and those who are close to us, they can see what we don't see. And if, not that they're going to just bash us or something, but, in it's little steps, little incremental steps, point out something that needs some improvement and help you support it. And the main support is devotional service. Just like this activity of chanting. It's for Krishna's pleasure. It's not about me. My mind says, no, I'm bored. And Krishna says, but it pleases me. So if we're cultivating for Krishna's pleasure, we do it for Krishna's pleasure. Or using Prabhupada's words, we must. We chant because we must. Why must? Because the spiritual master says so, the scripture says so. It's the means for deliverance for the sage. All different theologies have some way of glorifying God's name. So I should do, whether liking or not liking. It's for Krishna's pleasure, so I do.
Sometimes they try to avoid their services, saying that I'm not worthy enough, I think.
Yeah.
And
that's
being lazy, right?
That's
not-
what?
That's trying to be lazy by
It's being lazy?
trying not to do their services, by just saying
Yeah,
that.
some people do that. You don't do that, right?
Not really.
Okay.
So should we be humble or not? Because
We should be real, be genuine. That's what you should be.
Okay.
Be what you are. Strive towards what real humility is. And real humility is, I'm simply meant for Krishna's service. On the spiritual platform, that's who I am. I'm a soul existing for the pleasure of Krishna. That's who I am. And try and strive for that. That's what real humility is. You may not be there, but you strive for it. And you take good examples and good teachings and have your role models. Prahlad is a really good role model on that one. And then you read about him and remember him and so forth. Okay, anyone else? I want to give the microphone to someone else. Let's just see. Yeah.
So this first chapter of Harinam Chintamani had a lot of description about potencies
Yes.
of the Lord.
Yes.
I'm trying to see the connection between that and the glorification of the holy name, or impetus for us to chant the holy name. Is it that when we understand Krishna's magnanimity, then we see the holy name is not different? So
Well, here's two things. And there's more than two things, but two things. One of the standard teachings about chanting is one cannot get the full effect of chanting without proper sambandha gyan. Say it the other way. When one has proper understanding of sambandha gyan, it greatly assists the effectiveness of chanting. Say it the other way. Without understanding sambandha gyan, it's hard to get the full effect of chanting. So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is laying out sambandha gyan. Because the topic, he could have just said, chant. But he didn't just, he's laying out some, and so it's second part, essentially the same, but one of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's themes in his 100 books, maybe 85 of them, have 10 essential teachings of Lord Chaitanya. 10 essential teachings. Dasa mula. Dasa means 10. Mula, root. Dasa mula, tattva. So he's just doing dasa mula tattva here. Because the teaching of Lord Chaitanya is the holy name. But accompanying the holy name is these teachings. About what's what? The sambandha gyan. So there's potencies, and it's just details of potencies, so we can understand, minimally, we can understand their spiritual material. There's varieties of material, there's varieties of spiritual, but we want to go to the spiritual side. And there's distinctions. So like spiritual energy, material energy, marginal energy, living entity. Those are potencies. And the potencies of the material can only do material things, limited and temporary. And there are teachings from the Vedas that say how to get the limited and temporary. But it stays limited. Even if it goes to the heavenly planets, it's limited and temporary. So don't aspire for that. What's the option if I don't aspire for that? Then there's the mixed, then there's the pure. So it's heading towards pure. So what's pure? You have to know what's not pure to also understand what's pure. There's the material, there's the mixed, and then there's unmixed. And the name takes you to the unmixed, along with guided by these essential teachings that tell you what's what. Don't stop halfway. You may be halfway, but keep going to the pure, and have that aspiration in heart, in your intelligence. The intelligence can then guide the mind to go to the name, instead of the intelligence being out to lunch and the mind saying, I'm bored. So it gives purification of the intelligence and strength to the intelligence. So, and if I'm not there yet, I chant anyways because I know it's good for me. It'll cleanse. And I need some cleansing. So, back to your question, it's those two things. Along with the name comes Sambandha Gyan. And he's giving it. Haridas is giving it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving it. That's part of Lord Chaitanya's gift, is not just the name, but to understand what's what. As you're chanting the name, you know where you're going. You know how to get there. Online, anything? Okay.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. So I find it interesting that what is not a recommended process for Kali-yuga has been also made very hard. Like the karma and jnana, as you were pointing out, they're also difficult to perform as far as all the external conditions are concerned.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So in the previous yugas, when the conditions are kind of neutral in terms of whichever direction one may go.
Well, you say neutral. What do you mean the conditions were neutral?
In the sense that the karma and jnana are still possible in the previous ages, like in Kali-yuga, in Satya Yuga, there is more prevalence of the mode of goodness, and so one can at least think about getting into the study of Vedic scriptures and going down the line of jnana.
Okay.
And likewise, for the karma kanda path, also because one is diving into all these varieties of Vedic scriptures, one may start also getting diverted into different things.
Sure.
So in that sense, in Kali Yuga, the focus, all the conditions are ripe for strengthening the focus on what matters the most, which I find to be very interesting.
Uh-huh.
I'm just making a comment here just based on the presentation.
Yeah. At the same time, because the character of individuals and the modes of nature of those individuals is diminished. In that sense, it's unfavorable and difficult. On the other hand, what you said, the other avenues are not so easy, and they're more difficult in this age. And certainly one wants to be happy without any time at any place. Therefore, if it makes one happy, and if one sees others who it's making them happy, it's actually, the fruit is there. I can see it. So the contentment is there. That's very appealing and very attractive. I'm thinking, as I'm speaking this, Tirupati, have you heard of that place? Tirupati? Either of you? No? It's a place in South India, very celebrated place, not in our disciplic line, but there's a very, 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 very well-known deity, very popular deity up on a hill, and it's, a zillion people go there regularly. So ISKCON established a temple in that place, in Tirupati. And the head priest of this, fabulously wealthy, fabulously famous Tirupati temple came for the first of a 3-day festival when they were opening the temple. And he was just there for like a token, say a few words on the microphone, and then he can disappear. Just kind of inaugurate the thing. He stayed for an hour and a half. Because what he saw was astonishing. He had never seen anything like it before. It's a very large temple room, and it was filled with young, well-educated Indian boys and girls having kirtan and dancing with their arms raised for an hour and a half, ecstatically chanting and chanting and chanting. He came back the next day, and he came back the next day, because he was just amazed at what he saw. People that they're trying to attract don't come. The older people come because it's a traditional holy place. But the younger generation people, largely don't come. But the place was packed with these young people dancing and chanting and singing and jubilantly, doing their thing, the Sankirtan thing. And he knows what it is. It's the names of Krishna. And it's jubilant. So he spoke something afterwards on national, not international, television. He didn't have to, but he was saying, we can't do like this. We bring people to the Tirupati deity, and there's benefit, but nothing like this. This is, hours of chanting the holy, because they have the same principle of chanting the name of Narayana or Balaji or their deity. Anyway, he was impressed, and I think about that from time to time. He's way up there in terms of piety and virtue and what to speak of position in that organization, the spiritual organization. He didn't have to say anything. He could say, "Oh, this is competition. I don't like it." But he was not envious. He was just appreciating how powerful is this process. There's more to the story, but when when any one of us have association with those who are actually spiritually elevated, this is the sadhu sangha, or association with advanced devotees principle. It inspires. Now, it doesn't hold you up, but it's an inspiration to go further. And then, you have to do it yourself. You can't have somebody pick you up and hold you up. But there is something there, and it inspires one to go further. Beneficial for the whole world as individuals become more pure in heart. Okay, so anything you want to add?
Thank you so much.
Not yet?
No, I don't see any questions online.
Well, flowing inspiration alive is how it starts is how it stays. It starts by sound and by association. Now, It's not like, every evening we're going to come over to your apartment and we'll just spend some time together. But there are ways that by sound, by recordings, and even these days, live broadcasts, virtual broadcasts and things like that, you can find something that gives a sound vibration boost in your daily life from your own practice, and some friend or friends that are well-wishers and nicely situated in spiritual life, and you find that association for yourself and connect with that on a regular basis. Yeah. One of the things that I do is I have this little thing about this big, and it has all of Prabhupada's recorded lectures and morning walks and room conversations. And I listen to it every day, maybe anywhere from a half an hour to 2 hours. When I'm doing something else, when I'm taking a meal, I'm listening. Or brushing my teeth, I'm listening. I'm doing something, I'm hearing. And I'm connecting to the person. And in his voice is all this compassion. He wants people to not have to suffer. He knows how. He knows what brings it about and how to extract it. Anyway, like hearing from my physician on a regular basis. I see spiritually healthy and spiritually strong and spiritually uplifted. And I've been doing it for a good number of years. It has a cumulative effect. And same with, for each of us, something that gives you that charge. For me, it's Srimad Bhagavatam. It's life. It gives life. It's a detail, but I spent 2 hours today preparing a visual presentation on Muchukunda, who you probably haven't even heard of, but he's a nice devotee a king who became a devotee because he had association with a nice devotee. There's details, but it's just a principle. And so he was told by his horoscope that he would one day meet Krishna. So he was, where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? And he was thinking like that because of this devotee association. He became devoted just by hearing. And he carried it. And Krishna showed himself. He said, because, he told him, that's the details. But, because you prayed to me so often, I decided I'm going to come before you. Here I am. And he didn't, oh, really, that's who you are. He didn't know by seeing him, but he was identified. And then he offered nice prayers. And anyway, Lord Chaitanya said, or Krishna said some things, and after this life, you'll come to me. Some details. So, it's life. For me, that's life. So it takes, because I'm in the role of a teacher, but there's before becoming, just like we read, before you can give, you have to receive. So be a student, and you'll get life. Find a good teacher, become a good student, and you'll be filled up. You'll feel really energized, and then you'll think of different ways how you can give what you've received. And that's life. We're not alone. That's the good part. And the association with Krishna is through association with Krishna's devotees. And that's where you stay charged. And get in the receiving mode. Find teachers and friends and those who you can look up to and those who you have friendships with and peers, and invest in those relationships, and you got energy. Go, go, go. I've been doing this for over 50 years. So you got the voice of experience over here. How do you stay? Yeah. Anything from you? Anything at all? Off topic? How's the weather? Anything you want? Okay. Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, we'll end. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, do the one question that just popped up.
A question from Sanchari Mataji. Sometimes the holy name feels foreign,
Foreign.
like something we are supposed to be connected with, told to connect with, but that connection just does not form.
That's because we've forgotten.
And she's asking, why does this feeling keep rising when it is supposed to be natural?
It is natural, we're just diseased. Sugar candy. Rock candy tastes bitter when you have jaundice or a liver disease. Because you're diseased. That's why. That's why. It is natural. But something that, when we're diseased, it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't seem natural. It seems like something otherwise. I mean, just like using the same example in Tirupati, I don't know however many were dancing. Who gets up in the morning and thinks, "Hey, I want to go, dance for 2 hours in a room full of 250 people"? That's probably not what they thought of when they got up in the morning, or when they whatever. But when you're in the association of devotees, you may find yourself doing that, and it's not unnatural. It's quite natural. But before that, it feels like what? How many years of not chanting Hare Krishna before I started chanting Hare Krishna? So it's not natural, because I was living so many years without doing it, so it must be not natural. But it is natural. It's just that was a diseased stage of life. And who knows how many lifetimes of disease before that. Okay. Prabhupada Ki Jai.